We got breaking news, Bears fans. Big Bear Don, appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Want to drop this news and give you guys the update that the Chicago Bears have hired former UCLA assistant head coach and OC Eric Bieniemy as their running backs coach per Jonathan Jones, lead NFL insider from NFL on CBS. Bieniemy now returns to the NFL. Saw this from Schefter as well as he retweeted it. This is a big money move yet again. I love the Ben Johnson move, right? And we start there. Everything starts with going out and hiring Ben Johnson. That's a change in organizational value. But then you have to start having the conversation on, okay, first-time head coach, what are you going to do to try and make his life a little bit easier? That's what you've done with this coaching staff everywhere I look. I think this does a couple of things. Number one, for me, when you talk about the running game that the Chicago Bears had last season, what conversation we really having here? You know what I mean? Running game was absolutely atrocious last season. DeAndre Swift woefully underperformed. Roschon Johnson dealt with concussions. When he was out there, it seemed like he was never being utilized in a way that made sense for him. When you finally did utilize him a couple of times, he actually was able to gain some yardage. But again, ability, your best ability is availability. And we just didn't see that enough from Roschon last season. On top of all of that, you just didn't have the people movers up front to get anything done. Concern with some of the development here that the Bears have had with the running back room. Also some concern with how you've utilized these guys. I think Eric Bieniemy addresses a big need that the Bears had just from a running back position. But back to the Ben Johnson conversation. This is big. This is big because now I want everybody to kind of look around this staff. And I've said this a couple of times, and I should have brought this up with Yurko on Friday. This Bears staff feels like a Mike Holmgren staff. I've said this a couple of times where you look around and you go, oh, there's John Gruden. What's John Gruden doing over there? Oh, he's coaching, but he's got this play. He's got this play. And Holmgren's going to call it. And it's going to work. And it's going to score points. And it's going to win games. Oh, okay. All right. I like that. What's Andy Reid doing over there? Oh, he's dealing with the tight ends a little bit. You know what I mean? But he's got this play. He's drawn up this play that we're going to put in, and it's going to help us win games, and it's going to work. Those are the kind of coaching staffs that end up winning in this NFL, and you are building a absolutely star-studded coaching staff. Now, it doesn't matter until you put it on the field. It looks great on paper, but to me, the conversation right now that the Chicago Bears have to have on is about getting talent for these guys to develop. It's not about these guys having the ability to do it. I think that you have a bunch of people in the room who can draw up plays, and I think that only accentuates what Ben Johnson is doing when calling plays. You've got a group of guys that you don't have to worry about what they're doing in their room because you know that they're already good at the job. You want to know what I know about Eric Bieniemy? I know that he can coach running backs. I know that he can get that job done. I know that he can develop guys because I've seen him do it at the highest level. I've seen him be a play caller. I've seen him have his plays get called in games. I've seen him call plays that have worked to help win Super Bowls. We've seen all of this. And for me, I think that is the part that is the most exciting about a hire like this is it continues this trend that we haven't seen from the Chicago Bears, dare I say ever, where not only is the checkbook open, but shout out to Kevin Warren getting George McCaskey to open up the checkbook for the head coach, but the checkbook is open for the coaching staff in totality. And you have a bunch of guys who have proven skins on the wall as far as play calling and as far as development of players. That is going to make the biggest difference for the Chicago Bears. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about the Eric Bieniemy hire. Do you like this hire just for Eric Bieniemy being the running backs coach? Do you like this hire as far as how it helps Ben Johnson? Because I think that's the real conversation that you have to have if you're a Chicago Bears fan right now. Ben Johnson comes in, first-time head coach. You think he's going to be good. You hope he's not one of these other coordinators that just can't be a head coach and ends up flaming out. Well, how do you make sure that that doesn't happen? Well, you bring guys in the room like Dennis Allen. You bring guys in the room like Eric Bieniemy. You bring guys in the room like Antoine Randall, like Press Taylor. You bring guys in the room who you can look at and say, oh, this guy has done this at the highest level and has had development of players. Has had plays that he has put into the playbook that have worked. When you talk about Antoine Randall, the conversation around him is how much of the trick plays that Detroit ran, he drew up. You talk about Press Taylor, of course, the Philly special, but the development of quarterbacks in his time out in Philly and being able to help a backup quarterback turn into the guy that can lead you to a Super Bowl in the playoffs after Carson Wentz ends up going down, right? Like, those to me are conversations that you have to be having when you're talking about this coaching staff, because that's what's going to make Ben Johnson better. And I said this over on the Breeze, and I have to go back. I don't remember a coaching staff that had this many guys that you could look at and say, this guy's developed here, this guy's made this work, this guy's done this guy's been successful here. I'm sure it has happened, but that haven't at least made the playoffs, that haven't been successful. I'm not saying Super Bowl success here, but that haven't had top tier teams in the league. And I think that this is one of those kind of situations where if you go out and get them the talent, now of course the next big coach that the Bears are going to have to hire is the offensive line coach. But once you get that offensive line coach, the next call should be, as soon as the Super Bowl is over, Chicago Bears have signed Trey Smith to a 4-year, $86 million deal, $69 million guaranteed. Nice. That should be the absolute next thing that we hear as soon as free agency opens. I don't want to hear about running backs. I don't want to hear about safeties. I don't want to hear about anything, wide receivers. I want to hear about fixing the trenches as soon as it opens, but giving them the best talent to do that. Right, I went into last season, and I was excited about this team, and I thought that this team could be a 10-win team. But the entire time I was like, well, that's because they're going to add. And then we get the training camp, and nobody's been added. We get the training camp. I'm 2 weeks into camp, and I'm like, Courtney, they're going to sign somebody? Because what we're seeing up front is horrible. And guess what? During the season, what we saw up front was horrible. Coleman Shelton was not the answer. Ryan Bates was, in fact, injured. Tevin Jenkins missed a ton of games. You knew these things were going to happen. Now you have to get these guys. You can have the greatest coaches in the world, and yes, they may be able to develop mid-tier talent to good talent and be able to get the most out of that talent. And I think you have a staff that can do that. But for me, if you're going to get the most out of this staff, give them the most to get out of. Give them the big name free agents for them to get the most out of this staff. I love what this kind of hire means, or at least it seems like it means, for what the Bears could be doing. As Hawk Harrelson said, don't stop now, boys. Go out and spend the money. Get Eric Bieniemy the players he needs. Eric Bieniemy might have his players. Although, Ian Wheeler coming back might be an elite player for him. Get Dennis Allen the players he needs. Get Ben Johnson the players he needs. Get Antoine Randall the players he needs. Get these guys the players they need to go out and get the most out of those players. And listen, I think this is huge, a huge hire for the Bears in totality on a couple of fronts. Number one, again, like I said, the conversation on the development of some of the players you already currently have here. But when you're going into the draft, when you're talking about getting the most out of young talent, the Bears have not done a great job at the important positions of doing that. They have not done a great job on either sides of the line. The linebacker position has surprisingly been one where you have not been able to develop a linebacker really over the last few years. You've signed your guys, right? And you had Noah Sewell. You thought Noah Sewell was going to be that big name guy. He wasn't. Jack Sanborn kind of has fallen out of the main rotation, or at least did last season. We'll see what ends up happening this season. When he was on the field, he was nice, and maybe that's one of the guys you could say you developed. But a lot of those names that you brought in at that linebacker position, just not a ton of development there. The running back room where Eric Bieniemy is at hasn't had a ton of development over the last couple of years. So for me, I think you've got these guys right now who not only can develop the best of the best if the Bears go out and get them, but you can develop kind of those mid-tier guys into those really good players. That's how you make good football teams. Right? The stars are the stars, and you need them to be the stars when the moments are brightest. But those guys who are just the glue guys, the middle of the pack guys, hey, I'm going to outwork everybody. The Jack Sanborns, right? Those are the guys. If you give me a team of Jack Sanborns with 4 or 5 stars on it, I can do something, because that mentality is, I know the game better than anybody else does, and I'm going to make the play to get that done. And then your stars can go out and be your stars, because everybody has that same mentality. I think that's what a hire like this does for the Chicago Bears moving forward. I love the fact that we've got Eric Bieniemy in the room. I love the fact that it seems like we're building out more of a organizational structure here. And you've got, I'll say this as well, right? I know the conversation around Bieniemy when he left Washington was, he kind of rubbed a lot of guys the wrong way, didn't really I mean, was a little too aggressive with guys, was a little too, people didn't appreciate the way that he talked with them. You want accountability? You want guys that have skins on the wall? You want guys that have rings? You want guys that are going to be setting the standard in the room from a coaching level? You got them. You got them. You got Eric Bieniemy and Antoine Randall on the offensive side of the ball. You got Al Harris on the defensive side of the ball. We want the ball and we're going to win. I don't know if y'all remember that from Al Harris. That was for shout out to the football fans out here. We want the ball and we're going to win. They in fact did not. But I think that you just have to be excited. And I'm not saying that, I'm not crowning them. I'm not crowning them. I think that's the other thing that needs to be taken away. I can be excited about this and see where some of the misses are. I can be excited about this moment and still see what has happened in the past. I think you're changing the way this team thinks. And when you talk about, we could talk about the organization Eric Bieniemy came from, the Hunt family. I said the Hines family over on the Breeze. That was kind of funny. The Hunt family. The Hunt family, to me, they didn't sell their team. They didn't go out and just be like, we don't want this billion-dollar organization anymore. We're out. And now all of a sudden they're the standard of the NFL. Now all of a sudden they're the face of what winning is in this league. Well, what changed? They were the laughing stock forever. What changed? You changed how you thought. You started trusting the football people that were in the room. You started trusting the people that made the big name decisions, that made the big name moves. You started trusting those guys. I never expected. Now, if the McCaskies ever decided to sell the team, sure. Would I be happy? All right, cool. Like, I mean, they sold the team and we got new ownership and it turns into a Washington situation. Am I going to be upset by that? Absolutely not. But the likelihood of that happening is minimal. So I never have that conversation with people. The conversation that I love that we're having is Kevin Warren is in the room. And Kevin Warren now has convinced the McCaskies to do things differently than they've ever done them before. That, to me, is one of the more exciting things that I've seen in this town football-wise. We could talk about all the staffs, the Lovie Smith staffs. We could talk about the Ditka staffs and how star-studded that staff was, right? We could talk about all of these names. But those staffs kind of just came together from guys going, oh, look, we got Mike over there. Remember, Mike played for the team? Yeah, let's give Mike a shot. Mike wants to coach. Let's give him a shot. He turned out to be a great coach. Turned out to be a great leader. Same thing with Lovie. You gave Lovie a shot. First-time head coach. Turned out to be a great leader. You're not doing that here now. You're bringing Ben Johnson in and saying, we want you here. You're the experienced play caller. We're investing all this money into you, whether it's $13.5 million or whatever it is. We're investing this money into you. But we're going to get you some help. How's Dennis Allen look? He's done this before. How's Antoine look? How's Al Harris look? How's Press Taylor look? Declan Doyle's a little different. How's Eric Bieniemy look? How's that room? How's that offensive side of the ball look now? As far as experience. That's what I love about this. You've got this perfect match of youth on one side of the ball, but now you're adding some experience into that room as well. Defensively, you've got a bunch of experienced guys, which I think plays better on the defensive side. Rush and cover. You rush the football well. You rush the quarterback well, you cover well, you win. I don't think there needs to be a ton of innovation on a defensive side. On the offensive side, I think you need to be incredibly innovative because defenses usually are so smart and have so much talent, they figure out what the innovation is. So you always need that new thing. That's why I love the collection of pieces that we have here. Now finish off the Infinity Stones by going out and getting the next offensive line coach that's going to be an elite O-line coach and is going to develop these offensive linemen for the foreseeable future. Also go out and sign Trey Smith. But hey, man, appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Just wanted to update you guys with the news. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on the hire of Eric Bieniemy. I love this move for the Chicago Bears. I think this is a huge move for the Bears. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. As always, man, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear Don, one love. Peace.